Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my world. 3 months ago, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So, kind of a little bold here. Um, don't really want that to be what my channel is about, but unfortunately, that's kind of where I am right now. Um, I'm 3 months into chemotherapy treatments. I will be doing round 8, I think, on Monday, this coming Monday. And so that's kind of a lot of what my life is about right now. Um, I kind of want to keep this real and show what my life is really like. Um, it's not all roses and puppy dogs and all that kind of funny, fluffy stuff, but it's not as horrible as I honestly thought it was going to be. And I thought that maybe by making these videos, people out there might be able to see that cancer's not as horrible. I have, when I was diagnosed 3 months ago with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, I thought stage 4 meant the end. Um, Stage 4 only means that it's gone from the original organ, in my situation being the pancreas, to another organ, and in my case, that's the liver. I had 7 mets or spots in my liver that were very small. They said, "Oh, we caught this early." Apparently, pancreatic cancer is not caught early, as they say, very often. Um, I'm young for my type of cancer. The average person who gets this is about 65 years old. Um, I'm a member of a local pancreatic support group, and I'm the youngest person there by 15 years. Um, that works to my advantage. I'm stronger, and that allows me to have the higher doses of chemotherapy that are necessary to really blow this stuff out of me. Um, Through power of prayer from anybody and everybody. I don't care your religion. I don't care who you're praying to. For me, it's an energy that is put out into the world, and that energy is there for me. Um, it's pretty empowering to see how many people really rally behind you when something like this happens. Um, anyway, through that power of prayer and meditation, visualization, positive thought, I feel that has had almost as much impact on me as the chemotherapy itself. Right now, it's working. Doesn't mean that it's going to always work, but for right now, we're beating this. Um, the main cancer marker for this type of cancer is called a CA19-9. When I started, I was over 64,000 on the points marker. Um, just for frame of reference, if you don't have pancreatic cancer, you would be between 0 and like 37. So 64,000 was quite significant. After the first month, I was down to about 23,000. After the second month, 16. And as of this week, the test was done on Monday. It was 7,719, which means it's working. At that rate, if it continued at the same rate, which I'm not saying it's going to, it could be down to normal range within a month. Our main goal is no evidence of disease. I guess that's their term that they're using now, NED, instead of like remission. Once we get to that point, we can possibly look at removing the tumor that's on my pancreas itself. So that's kind of where we are with that. My whole life has changed. I had hair to my waist. I was walking 3 to 5 miles a day, trying to lose weight and to be more healthy. And all that changed. I can no longer get my nails done. You can see that they're kind of short and stubby. there's lots of things that with the chemotherapy I can no longer do. It's kind of odd. One of my types of chemotherapy that I receive actually makes it impossible for you to handle cold items or extremely hot items. For me, the cold is the worst. Um, I can have nothing below 65 degrees roughly to drink during the entire week of chemotherapy. In my case, I have chemo on Monday. So Monday through Friday, sometimes into Saturday, cold things are horrible. I can't go into the refrigerator without a scarf and oven mitts. Um, Going into a freezer is impossible. You can't go into a grocery store and go down the cold aisles. Can't go get a gallon of milk. Can't do those things. I mean, things that are very normal. Going into a bathroom and washing your hands, you have to wait for the water to completely heat up. Um, our water heater actually went out a couple of weeks ago. I guess it was a little longer than that. And not thinking anything of it, the day that we were going to get it, I was going to wash up in the sink. And my hands were so frozen within just a couple of seconds that it felt like I had horrible, horrible frostbite. That's kind of what it feels like, is you get like pinpricks in your hands. They say that if you get into a situation where you're breathing it in, like if you go into a cooler or stick your head into a cooler like in Sam's or Kroger or whatever, um, that you can even feel like you've stopped breathing. They tell you to cover your face with your hands like this to breathe, because it'll keep you from panicking and thinking that you're not breathing, because you can actually feel the breath going in and out of your body. So it's kind of a scary thing, but it's what I have to do in order to get through this. Um, my main fear going into it, besides losing my hair, which was a huge part of my identity, imagine having hair that was below your tailbone, and it being a huge part of you for the majority of your adult life, and having to cut it off in preparation. You can see I'm bald here on the sides pretty much completely, but the rest of it I kind of shaved to keep really short. Anyway, besides my hair, the other thing that I was really concerned about was side effects. I didn't want to throw up. I've never had a good experience with vomiting. Even as a baby, I didn't throw up. So maybe in my entire life, I might have thrown up less than 10 times. And that includes when I was in the hospital with this, and they gave me medication on an empty stomach. So less than 10 times in my entire life I've thrown up. So the thought of going into this and getting extreme nausea and throwing up was more than I could bear. That was my biggest fear. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with that. I've been extremely lucky in that I have never thrown up. The nausea is horrible. Not going to lie there. My main thing is the nausea and diarrhea, henceforth called the big D. The nausea starts for me within an hour or so of starting my chemotherapy. That's even with me taking medication before I leave home and them giving me medication in my pre-meds. So they have to stop sometimes in the middle, and I get a little emesis bag, and they're like my Lucky Charms. I keep one with me, and then I don't throw up. The nausea gets really bad where I can't even move. I'll come home from chemo and literally lay in the bed and just lay as still as I can, because that's the only thing you can do. Anyway, the diarrhea starts about day 3, just as they're about to take my pump off. I guess I should back this up and explain. Chemotherapy for me starts at 8 a.m. on Mondays. And maybe I'll go through and I'll do a kind of a day in the life kind of thing one of my Mondays when I go. Maybe even this week. I go on Monday and I get there at 8 o'clock. And I first go back to the phlebotomy area, the blood drawing or whatever. And they access my port. My port is right there. You can kind of see the bump and the scar from where they put it in. That makes it a whole lot easier. My veins are not good, and it took them like 7 tries just to get the IV to be able to put that in. So for me, it was very important. Plus, one of the types of chemotherapy I have can burn the skin, so I can't go through an IV. So they go in and they access this port, and they take blood to do the blood work to make sure that I'm healthy enough to get my chemotherapy, that my blood counts are right, magnesium, stuff like that. I mean, it's a very big, comprehensive thing that they do. And then once the port is accessed, I go back to another waiting room, and I wait for the chemotherapy nurses to call me back into the treatment room. And I get comfortable, and it takes about 20 minutes or so for the test results to come back to say, oops, I've got a message, sorry. Kind of to say, hey, beautiful, you've got a text message. It kind of tells me that, that everything's okay. And then they order my meds from their pharmacy that's there in the same kind of area. And then they start, once that comes through, it takes 20 minutes or so, they'll start my pre-meds. Pre-meds include things like Benadryl, something for my stomach, kind of like a Pepcid thing. The Ativan that I get for the nausea, and several other things. I think they said that I'll get like 6 or 7, which is kind of high. Not all the doctors prescribe that many. They're kind of glad when they do, because it's not as hard on the patient as you're going through it. That takes about an hour to get all those into my system. And at that point, then I start my first chemotherapy. I have 3. Actually, there's 4 meds. One of them is a helper med that works along with the chemotherapy to help it work better. My first chemotherapy starts dripping, and that takes about an hour and a half. That one I'm usually okay through most of it. I'm still I get a little sleepy because of the Benadryl, so I doze. I sit with my computer. There are TVs above every bed station and headphones, which is kind of nice. And so after about hour and a half, that one will be finished. And then usually they'll go ahead and give me my Ativan then, because it's obvious that I'm going to need it every time, and it's just easier. After I get the Ativan, they'll start the next round, which is the second chemotherapy along with the helper drug. And that's another hour and a half. Sometimes they have to stop that one midway through because my nausea gets so bad. Try really hard not to do that because it's already a really, really long day. From there, then once that gets through, the next one's really short. It only takes 15 minutes, but it's connected to a pump that I take home with me then for another 40 hours, I think it is, that it runs. So I'll leave there usually between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's a full day. And I'll be on that pump then until I come back on Wednesday at noon and have it removed. When I come home, the main thing I do is I change clothes and get into bed. It's pretty much all I do. I will eat. I mean, it hasn't affected my appetite as much as I thought it would, but I'm still eating like it's my job, meaning I force myself to eat even if I'm nauseous. That's very important when you're trying to keep your weight from going down, because if your weight drops, they want to drop your chemo. I've been really fortunate, even though I am very pudgy. I haven't lost any weight, which is amazing. But like I said, I eat like it's a job. I eat even though everything tastes like sawdust. I eat when I'm nauseous. I get up in the middle of the night to take one of my medications, and I will eat then, even if it's just a piece of fruit or a couple of crackers. I'm constantly trying to put something into my body. Anyway, so all day Tuesday I pretty much sleep. Wednesday I'll go up there and I'll have my pump removed. And then Thursday and Friday are kind of iffy days. And then I start to feel okay. except for the diarrhea. It starts usually Wednesday afternoon and stays with me. Unfortunately for me, I'm allergic to Imodium. So I can't take the drug that everybody out there takes and that most people with this chemotherapy that have this problem take. So I'm on a prescription and I take that along with Pepto, and it still really doesn't work. I'm taking Lamodal now. My doctor has called in a medication. I don't remember the name of it, but it's an injection that I'm going to start next week. 500 and something dollars without insurance, which is crazy, but whatever it takes to get it to work, right? So I'm going to start that one next week, and the hope is that that's going to eliminate some of this, because not only do I have to deal with the big D, there are the side effects that go along with that, which include yeast infections and rashes and all that kind of stuff that people don't even want to talk about, much less think about. Other than that, my main side effect, I guess, would be fatigue. What I used to be able to do in 15 minutes might take me an hour now. Things that I could do for a prolonged period of time, even simple things like art, where I used to take 5 to 10 minutes. I'm sorry, that's not right. When I used to be able to do it for several hours, now 20 to 30 minutes in, I'm tired and need to rest again. It's very difficult. Kind of where I'm standing in my life right now is I'm trying to do things that make me happy. Art makes me happy, so I'm doing some stuff there, and maybe I'll even do some videos on art. I don't know. I did want to do it kind of in a vlog setting. Honestly, if anything happens to me and I'm no longer here, I'd like my videos to be here for those that I care about, that I love, that can see me, I guess. Dying's a scary thought, and it's at the forefront of my life right now. I'm not scared to die. I'm not. My main fear is the people I leave behind. Jeremy, he's my partner. We've been together nearly 5 years, and I really don't know that I could. I'm leaving him to pick up the pieces, and that sucks. It's not fair to him. In a way, I've always wanted to have kids. I couldn't have them. I've had several miscarriages. I had stepchildren for a while that I absolutely adore, but I never really was able to have kids. And while that's hard and that's sad, in a way I'm kind of glad that I don't, because if I had kids, then I'd be leaving them behind if this doesn't work. Pancreatic cancer is rough. Statistically, 5% of the people make it 2 years. It's not very good. I'm a little bit luckier that I'm younger than some of them, which, it tends to hit people who are older. It tends not to be caught very early. People like Michael Landon, he died very quickly after they found it. Patrick Swayze, he did okay for a while, and then it just didn't work. I don't want to be those people. My local area, we're really lucky. I live just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, so we have the Herb Costin Foundation. So we have a pancreatic support group here. It's the only one in this area. I think they said as far down as like Atlanta. And so I have that group. And we all have an amazing doctor, Dr. Bierman, and everybody loves him. He's been in the area for quite a while. And he has a lot of, I guess you would call them success stories. I've met a lady who's 21 years out. She had hers was diagnosed in '94, and she's still kicking. Um, but I'm the baby of the group. Like I said earlier, the youngest person after me is mid 50s. Um, it doesn't hit young people as much. Usually they're 65 years old or older. Um, Smokers, drinkers, people who've done damage to like their liver and their pancreas and stuff. And I really haven't. The only thing, I mean, yeah, I'm diabetic, but the diabetes is kind of caused because the pancreas isn't really working right. Um, it's not great. But I do have that going for me as far as being stronger, being younger, I guess. It's it's kind of nice having the group here though, because I can talk to other people who understand what I'm going through. I mean, yeah, there are cancer support groups everywhere, but different kinds of cancer have very different things going for them. Um, Breast cancer, you're not going to have the same symptoms I do. You're not going to have to deal with the gut issues. You're not going to have to deal with the things that have to do with the pancreas, obviously. I'm not discounting that different types of cancer are not just as bad. They are. All cancer is horrible. Um, it's just different. And so it's nice to be able to talk to a group of people that have all gone through something similar to what I'm going through, that are taking similar chemotherapy treatments or have had similar chemo treatments. Um, we also get to work with the Costin Foundation has a lot of people that they support within the field to try and find a cure for the pancreatic cancer. So we get to talk to them from time to time when they come to our meetings. And in doing so, we are able to, talk to them, and like they recommend certain things like bitter melon, um, and curcumin, turmeric, different things that you can take that kind of help with what you're going through. Um, and so it's kind of nice to be able to talk to these people who are working with this day in and day out and can really tell us what's forefront with what's going on with our particular type of cancer. Um, anyway, that's my cancer story. That's kind of where I stand, kind of explaining why I'm walking around with a bald head, and why I may look sick, big dark circles, all that kind of stuff. Um, I promise my videos won't all be about cancer. It's kind of, like I said before, at the forefront of what's going on in my life right now. So it's a little different. I may do videos on art, kind of a day in the life kind of things, what's going on with me. Videos on outings and stuff like that, because I don't know. I just feel like maybe somebody may want to see them. Anyway, that's my story. If you have any questions, you can leave comments, like, subscribe, stuff like that. You know what to do. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.